Welcome back everyone to the Complete Pineleaf, where last time we learned who betrayed Isildur and why, but there's still details that we need to learn. And for that, we'll need to speak to Gandalf.
Much has been made clear to me by Tarandil's confession.
The Shade of Isildur spoke true. The disaster of the Gladden Fields was no accident. Yep.
Tarandil's confession draws to its close.
We must hear what Tarandil has to say, though the ending is known to us. Yes, we have heard the ending before. What happened at the disaster?
Fear and relentless worry gnawed at me on that northward road.
As my foster father's company followed the northward road between the marsh and the forest, I saw the sign of Gernach's raiding party everywhere. Each snapping twig, every bird taking flight, all seemed to herald the missteps of the orcs. The maps are changed, I remember, thinking of the company near the scouted locations. The course of the river is different than it was when we came south, and the lay of the land may not be as I remembered. It's not going to work. Then there was no time left of doubt. If Adad-Dun-Zagar could be repented of his treachery and stayed Tarandil, the time was gone, and the orcs attacked. I did not notice its passing, for at first the plan I gave to the orcs seemed without flaw. At first. The darkness shielded their numbers and enlarged the attacking forces in the minds of Isildur's men. Still, they were valiant and tempered with their travails during the war they so recently fought. When there came an opening, my foster father commanded that they press further north. But it was not the harbinger of victory it seemed, and the orcs returned for the second of the attacks that I suggested. Right?
The second attack was more fierce than the first had been. Isildur's defeat seemed certain.
I became separated from Isildur during the fighting, and while I was engaged with the orcs in one flank of our diminishing circle, he gave something to his esquire, Otar. Otar vanished during the fighting. Did he escape? And more importantly, what was he given? What was he given? I believe that was Narsil. I presume that was Narsil that he was given, or something like that, rather than the ring. Had Othar taken the ring? I had to know. Tarandil, you have to keep fighting. We're going to get through this. What did his father give to Otar? What? This is not the time for this, brother. Keep fighting. Oh, he's trying to learn. There are too many. He's desperate to know what was given. Tarandil, you have to go. Bibakil, I will. Oh well. Back over this way. Mudran, the orcs are too many. Tarandil, you're alive. Think the Valar. Things will go ill for us, brother. Father sent his esquire away before the fighting became too thick, entrusting Othar to bear the shards of Narsil away from the battle. But I fear that he did not give him the object of the orcs' desire, and if we do not do something, they will seize it. Ha ha. Well, at least answers Tarangil's question. Father, you have to escape. You must bring it to. Oops, the daisy. Father, wait! During the confusion, I lost sight of Isildur. Where had he gone? And did he still have the ring? If he escapes now, my bargain with the Nazgûl would come to naught. Find some sign that Isildur made for the riverbank. That he made for the riverbank. That's the riverbank, I presume? Ah, okay. We get a shade to point us in the proper direction. I guess that helps. Alright. And so for a while there I thought, am I going to have to run to a random direction or something like that? Because it annoys me when I have to make a random guess. But if there is a shade telling us where to go, and even when picking up with a semi-quest ring at some point. Oh. Discarded armor. His armor lay along Ceres, discarded. He must have intended to swim. Isildur swam, and I pursued him. Alright. Swim across the river. At least I don't have to worry about being attacked by orcs while swimming across the river. Guess that's good. Oh. I should kick on warden speed in order to do this. Slow enough swimming as it is. Going at regular speed is probably just going to slow things down. I'm actually starting to catch up with the shade. Oh, in fact, I even caught up with the shade that time. I found him at last. We can make no sense of his expression. Mixed pain and elation. My muscles ached. The swim had taken its toll on me, and I knew that I must rest before attempting the return journey. I would hide amongst the reeds and wait until the orcs prowled on the distant shores and abandoned their vigil. Then I will swim back with my prize. Despite my exhaustion, I had to complete the task for which I was set myself. It was time. As tired as I was, sick as my heart and body can be, I had to finish this. Father, do you still have it? Does the ring remain safe? It is gone. It left me in the water. I am forsaken, and I am free. No! No! Tyrandil, what is the orcs? He must have been lying. He must have been lying. His body. I need his body. I will find it and pry the ring from his dead hand. Apparently he didn't know about the invisibility trick. Curse you, Isildur! Curse you! Ravendell and Hale were innocent! You are gone with the current, and the ring with you. All is lost. All is ashes. 1,000 curses upon you. Without the ring, I cannot fulfill my bond. I cannot save my family. Bravatel, hail! I tried! I tried! I tried! I tried. But for men such as me, death was no escape. Tyrandil was most definitely not born under a lucky star.
My dagger cut deeply, and I perished.
Although the line of my life had reached its end, I was not to have any rest. The oath I swore was to a power far greater and darker than sworn by Rioch, and it bound me to these cursed fields long past the night my blood was spilt. I searched in vain for Sauron's ring, but my prize was lost, and with all of my hopes. I yielded to my misery, and rage consumed me. So great was my ire that all fled before me, and as the centuries passed, I left behind all memory of my life. All I knew was anger and resentment, and I gave the death that was denied me to all who entered my domain. Elf, man, orc, no creature was saved from my wrath. But then, amid the confused tatters of my memory, one crossed my path who I knew of old. He wore the appearance of an old pilgrim, cloaked in gray, but I knew this vagabond from form hid a greater power. How could he have returned? I confronted him, and my spirit was seared by the heat of the power that he kept hidden. Then I was afraid and fled. But he followed close behind and cast a spell most cruel. I was banished, but the forces of my oath prevented my leaving. In distress, my very being was torn asunder, and I knew no more for long years. Something changed. Something far away and yet ever present, and my form coalesced in agony out of the mist. The pain I felt in that moment was worse than every torment I had experienced save one. The anguish of losing Bravathel and Hale forevermore. That pain I feel still, and it will never abate.
I desired to confess my treachery, and I have done so.
There remains but one more thing for me. I will seek for my wife and child, for Bravatel and Hale, no matter where they may be. I will suffer any hurt to see them again, and know of their fate, whether it be doom undeterred or rest finally achieved. Do they linger still in this world? I have to know. If I must consign myself to mindless oblivion in this effort to be, I face it without fear. Tarandel's form wavers uncertainly, and he addresses Isildur for one last time. Father, I do not seek your pardon. I know it could never be granted, and I would not ask it. But I wanted you to know how sorry I am. I have forgotten so much over the centuries, but that I never lost. That sorrow was always with me, even when all else was emptiness.
I do not forgive you, Tarandil, my son not of blood, but of choice.
I think that there was a time when these sorrows might have been avoided, had you spoken freely to me in life. I set aside my vengeance. There is no suffering and I could impose you that you have not inflicted upon yourself. Go then, and endure the punishment that you have earned, the punishment that you have created. Be gone! Be gone.
Hearing the tale of Tarandil in its fullness fills me with both satisfaction and regret.
The satisfaction for the responses in it to questions of long unanswered, but the regret is for my own part in the tale. The evil deeds he performed cannot be excused, but if I had known the full extent of the Shade's story, I might have stayed my hand. Farewell to Tarandil, and to Bravatel, and Heo, whatever their fates. Our journey must continue, Pineleaf. One oath may yet be fulfilled. We must continue on to Rivendell. Let's continue to Rivendell. We have finally made it to the entrance of Rivendell.
After the passage of so many years, I have come at last to Rivendell, as was my vow.
I can now know rest these long centuries later. Never did I think that this day would come. The shade of Isildur wavers before you, shimmering in and out of view. With a great effort, it remains to give you his final words. The tale of Tarandil has stirred something in me, and I can dismiss it no longer. I know the struggles that he faced, the conflict that caused him such distress, and I find that I can understand. I do not forgive him, but I understand what caused him to fall. He was my son, not a blood, but a son all the same. Some measure of his wickedness must be traced to me, for was I not the man who would strive to be? Shade of Isildur wavers again, his attachment to Middle-earth made tenuous by the fulfillment of his ancient vow. My thoughts turn to Eärnur, Pineleaf. Tarandil fell to darkness through the arts of the Blade of Lebanon, one of the Nazgul, and not the greatest nor the most evil. But Eärnur fell to the Lord of the Nazgul himself. Eärnur spoke of the torments that he endured in the dark place, and I dismissed them. The blood of my brother Arinarian ran through his veins, and I chastised him for not resisting. I cursed him for failure. I, who might have ended the reign of Sauron forever, and could not. I regret my words. Eärnur should not be left to rot within Minas Morgul, Pineleaf. Did I say that he died as Gothmog? Nay, he died as Eärnur, descended through many generations from my brother Anarion, who perished in the fields of Barad-dûr. It is my hope that the body of Eärnur will be recovered and given a king's rest. This is my final request, Pineleaf. Farewell. Farewell.
Isildur and the ring came to Rivendell long years after he so vowed. Now both are gone from the world.
It has been an eventful journey, but there is one more thing I must say to you, my friend. Gandalf's eyes twinkles merrily, and he lifts the Black Book of Mordor from its leather strap. I spent the latter half of the ride to Rivendell considering what might have missed within the Black Book. The glass shard from the beacon of Ered Curon revealed no further secrets to me, but I felt certain that there was more to learn. Had I overlooked some trick? At last I have determined my error, and while I am ashamed to admit it, even the very wise will sometimes make mistakes of this fashion. I was so focused upon the writing of Voin that all else was obscured, and as if I were blindfolded. That's how I missed it. Voin's handwriting is very distinctive, and I scoured it for any further clue. I quite ignored the drawings which decorate the margins and several pages near the end of the tome. I saw no meaning in these pictures, for I thought them mere embellishments, and yet, hidden amongst these illustrations, I finally recognized further dwarf runes. I didn't see them during my previous studies because they were not written by Voin's hand. Someone else wrote these runes, hiding them in plain sight. I have now translated them, Pineleaf, and can properly tell you the ending of Voin's tale. Are you ready to finish our study of the Black Book of Mordor and close it for good? Are we ready? Perhaps we should be able to finish this entire tale in the next episode of The Complete Pineleaf.